Thorny, as we venture into the R&R, two truths are consistent. We love our dear Montana state, and we love great beer. And you know who else feels the same? Jeremiah Johnson Brewing. Brewed in the heart of Montana in downtown Great Falls, Jeremiah Johnson takes Montana's finest ingredients to craft some of Montana's favorite beers. And now, Jeremiah Johnson's second tap room is open in downtown Coeur d'Alene. Their Citra IPA is probably one of my favorites. But we all know, Thorny, you're not the hop lover I am. You're more of a mountain man Scotch ale.
Well, Foley, I'm certainly not a mountain man, but you are right. I do love their Mountain Man Scotch Ale. But come game day, you and I are both cracking their Golden Bobcat Pale Ale. So when you're looking for a quality craft beer brewed with Montana roots, a relaxing tap room, or just a six-pack to take to your favorite Bobcat tailgate, Jeremiah Johnson delivers. Make your next beer a Jeremiah Johnson, and as always, go Cats.
Welcome, everybody, to the R&R Catcast, a fan-based podcast focusing on Montana State athletics. We're two dudes named Ryan from the state of Washington talking about our dear Montana State. We hope you enjoy. All right. Welcome back, Bobcat fans. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the R&R Catcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Foley. Across the state from me is my good buddy, Ryan Thornburg. We are the Ryans of the R&R Catcast, the Montana State affiliate of the Big Sky Podcast Network. We have an awesome sponsor in Jeremiah Johnson brewing great beers in downtown Great Falls with a second tap room over in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Thorny, I was waiting for you to just do like a little woohoo in there when I put your name in there. I was going to see if you're going to try to mess me up tonight, but
I didn't try last time,
silent.
but I did, and now I'm cognitive of it. I'm aware of it. So, yeah, I'll let you just roll right through that before being prompted before speaking.
Right on. Well, it is the first week of May, and the NFL draft was last weekend, and Ryan and I thought we'd come on, share our thoughts on the guys that got drafted in the 2022 draft. It's a good day for the Montana State Bobcats, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
And, so that was basically it. This could be a short one, and so we'll get right into that. But first, we're going to talk about what's in our Golden Coolies.
Man, you sound fantastic, by the way. I assume you haven't shown me anything on screen. I'm assuming you probably just have hot tea over there.
I will tell you a little. I don't want to tell you a lot about my sickness because that'd be just gross. But I got a bad cold on Thursday, and this was the week heading up into Bloomsday, which is a big road race here in Spokane. And the thought I had on Tuesday, I was like, just don't get sick, because I've run Bloomsday with a cold before, and it's just been terrible. And of course, on Thursday night, I feel it coming. My sons both had it, and then Saturday, I go out and I run a personal record on Bloomsday. It's been kicking my butt this whole week. So I'm on the tail end. I just sound really junky, man. So it's just, it is bad.
Well, hopefully we won't do too much talking this episode. But like you said, we always say that. We always say that.
Yeah.
And you look down and 50 minutes has gone by. Easy.
Yeah.
I also sound a little probably deeper and gunkier than normal too, because I'm also coming off a cold, which is why we didn't record on Monday. That's why we're doing this on Wednesday instead, because we both just sounded like frogs on Monday.
Gosh. We're both gonna be like hawking loogies and snorting and sniffing, and
yeah,
it's gonna be great.
Can't wait to edit this one. Lots of clipping out sniffles and stuff. It's gonna be fun. All right. Well, all right. What do you have over there then? If it's not hot tea.
No, I don't have hot tea. I have the No Lie Porch Glow Amber. I think I talked about this one last week. Like I was hoping to have it, and I made a specific trip to the grocery store today to get it. It's really delicious. I really like it. I'm on a big malty amber kind of kick right now. So off the IPAs for a little bit.
Look at that
stuff.
I like the No-Light logo script up the side there. It reminds me of like a cola, like an old-timey cola can. But then
they did a nice thing too. I think No Lie has seen their beers in in Coolies before because they market it with their logo right on top, like the Coolie doesn't cover it up. I think that's pretty cool.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Smart.
look at that. Mm-hmm.
Flip the
Right
script. I have the Deschutes limited release Neon Daydream Hazy Ale. And that is in bottles, 35 IBUs. You know what? It's pretty good. It's pretty citrusy, pretty juicy. I like it. It's a good one.
Yeah, I kind of take. I'm not a big fan of the juicy anymore. They make my tummy feel a little bit off the next day. My head feels a little bit fuzzy the next morning. No matter what, like they don't even have to be like big beers. They just make me feel a little bit weird.
Well, that's not good.
No, it's not. So I kind of avoid those guys.
Gosh, my voice is gunky. Well, let's press on. Let's just keep going.
Bunch of sickos over here.
Yeah.
Talk about the Bobcats.
And not in the way that the kids
All
are
right.
saying sickos. We're literally sick.
All right. Well, Thorny, the draft started on Thursday night, round 1. I was anticipating a lot of defensive players to go, and that definitely was the case. I mean, it was a defensive tackle kind of draft. I don't know. Did you pay much attention to like a pre-draft buildup?
No, I sure did not.
Oh man! So I listened to the Locked On Bengals like daily, and for the last 2 months, every episode has been nothing about the draft. And so when I go on my runs in the mornings, I listen to those guys talk about the Bengals, the Cincinnati Bengals, that is. And so I had quite a bit like information going into the draft, but it was all like focused through the lens of the Bengals and what their needs were. And then things I could pick up on the draft just right away was there was just a lack of quarterbacks being taken this year. You know, it was kind of a quarterback thin, but like a defensive tackle heavy, like an edge rusher heavy draft. And that made me think a little bit of Daniel Hardy. And then Troy Andersen, of course, because we had been talking about, defensive needs. But Thursday night came and went, and Friday came, and I thought I was going to see Troy get drafted when I was working, but turns out they didn't start the second round until I got home from work, probably like at 6:00.
They want those ratings.
Yeah. I was a little bit surprised by that.
Do you want to tell me what you texted me like on Thursday or Wednesday? Do you remember?
Yeah, I thought he was going to drop to the 3rd, only because I was reading up on a little bit, and I just saw a lot of like names ahead of him, and just people being like projecting that Troy would like maybe go down to like 73rd or something like that, or 74th is what I was seeing in one article, and so I was like, I don't know, maybe I was like I probably was just like knee jerking it a little bit right there.
If you probably averaged the highest picks for Troy and kind of the lower end stuff, he probably where he ended up getting drafted is probably right in the middle. Because I saw him like as high as like low 40s, I think, and then up to like the mid 70s. So a little bit towards the higher end side of things, but kind of in the middle for sure.
Well, I was hoping he was going to go 57 to the Bills.
Yeah,
because I like the Bills more so than I like the Falcons, but. Falcons took him at 58, and that was a huge moment. Like we were both just, so proud, so happy for the guy, right?
Yeah, because you're just sitting there watching the draft, just waiting for them to say Troy Andersen. You don't even care where. Like if it's your team, great. There was a player a few picks before Troy who started with like I don't remember who it was. It was maybe Travis or something. I don't know if I saw it in the Bobcat Nation. 2 people like they heard it and they got fooled for a second because I thought like Travis. Like people thought he was gonna say Troy. You're just like come on. But yeah, number 58 to the Falcons. Like I don't know anything about the Falcons. Outside of didn't they finally get rid of Matt Ryan? Is Matt Ryan still the quarterback down there?
No, they're looking at Marcus Mariota, and then they drafted that guy from Cincinnati, Ritter.
Oh, okay.
So he was one of the quarterbacks taken from them. So
they're probably in a bit.
The only reason why I know that, is I've been listening to their Locked On episodes because I've been wanting to see kind of their perspective of Troy Andersen. Because honestly, like our perspective of Troy Andersen is glowing. Montana as a state's perspective of Troy Andersen is through the roof.
Yep.
So we're like, oh yeah, you're getting a great player. You're getting this legend, maybe the greatest Bobcat of all time. And so I was like, well, what do they think? And so I started listening to a couple episodes from their perspective, and it's not quite the same as we are thinking over here in Montana. One thing that I did not know is Michael Petrie, our former running backs coach, and from 2014 2017, he's on staff with the Falcons. Did you know that?
I did not before the draft.
So, I mean, you could connect some dots right there that Petrie was lobbying for him. Anyways, the host, Aaron Freeman, I think his name, was talking about, he's like, I don't know, maybe Troy Andersen could be a project player, a guy that they're going to use sparingly, maybe. And he talked maybe it was Petrie that lobbied for him. There was a connection there. I don't know. It's clear that he doesn't know a lot about Troy Andersen. I mean, why would you if you live in Atlanta, Georgia? But not quite the glowing review that Montana State fans would give.
I mean, that's not surprising to me. I don't think anybody's critical takes of Troy Andersen are unwarranted. He's very raw still. And when you start analyzing Troy's game from an NFL lens perspective, like he's got a long ways to go. I think most people thought he was a project, but he has such a high upside. But depending on the needs of your team, maybe he could squeeze into starting pretty soon. But he's going to be a dominant special teams player day one, and he's going to make the Atlanta Falcons very happy in the very end. But I'm not surprised to see those kinds of takes, and especially, I mean, this was all over social media from Falcons fans. They were pretty unhappy that the Falcons passed over their home state guy. Was it Nakobe Dean? Is that how you say his name? The Butkus award-winning national championship-winning linebacker. They're pretty unhappy that he got passed over for some guy from Montana State. Now, let's think about this, though. Let's think about what would happen. Let's say there was a professional NFL team in Great Falls. And this is the situation where Troy Andersen was there in the second round, and you, as the Great Falls, I don't know, Dams, because we're the Great Falls Dams. That's the NFL professional team. Great Falls. They pass on Troy Andersen when they could have drafted him. They draft some kid, and let's keep the comparison real true. They draft like a Division II kid from like Mississippi instead of Troy Andersen, because it's got to be a lower level on top of that. They pass over the hometown superstar. I mean, that's kind of what Falcons fans are feeling right now, I think. So I get that side of things. I think if they just took a step back and looked at it from taking that thing out, that aspect out of the equation, I think they'd be pretty happy with the pick overall. But yeah, it's hard to get past the fact that they had a guy who was outperforming at homegrown local talent, like just down the road, and they passed on him. I could see why you might be a little bitter because of that.
Look at you bringing perspective to us, man. Good job, buddy.
Try to. Also, trademarking Great Falls Dams. It's a terrible name.
I like it, though. It's so true, though.
Interesting thing real quick about Nakobe Dean, though. I just want to say he fell a long ways. Like, the Falcons weren't the only team that passed on him. He was initially probably going to be a first-round pick. Like that, he was the number one linebacker on the board at one point, but I don't know what it was. I know that they reported he had an injury that he passed on having surgery on, which he came out. I read an article say that wasn't true. No one ever advised him to get surgery. He never passed on any surgery, but whatever it was, he fell all the way down to 83rd. I mean, Troy Andersen was picked at number 58, and Nakobe Dean fell all the way to 83rd to the Eagles. So there was some hesitation on him for some reason. So, Falcon fans can be mad all they want, but there's plenty of other teams that felt something was off with Dean, and they passed on him for a long time down. For a guy who was going to be a day one pick all the way to 83rd, like something happened.
There's a couple guys like that you weren't privy on some of the medical records that the teams were getting, right? And they're just like, nah, we're not going to touch that. That guy's shoulder, that guy's knee, that guy's Achilles tendon, something like that. Hey, a couple things on Troy before we move on. Two things. Were you able to watch his pick when he saw it on television? Did you do any of the interview stuff where?
Yeah, where he says like, "Wow, that's crazy." Is that like all he said, something like that?
No, it showed him in his what I assume to be his family's living room in Dillon. Did you watch that one?
Yeah, that's what he said, right?
Okay,
something similar to that.
I'm not sure if I'm catching them, but my perspective on it was how like low key everybody was. Like Troy just kind of like raised his hand and put his hands on his head, like, oh my gosh, that's super cool. And then the camera kind of panned to what I assumed is his parents. I'm not sure what his parents look like. And they were just like smiling. They weren't like overtaken with emotion. Nobody in the room was overtaken with emotion. It was very Troy-esque. It was just very like everybody was just like grinning from ear to ear, but nobody was like hooping and hollering or like crying or like hugging.
I don't even think there was any applause or anything.
Yeah,
it was almost a little weird until you really like think about it from like, yeah, well, of course, it's like small town, rural Montana farm family. Like Troy Andersen, I don't even think Troy Andersen believes he's been drafted yet. Has that even sunk in to him yet? I don't know. That's my first takeaway is like Troy Andersen. I'm looking at that. He doesn't even fully grasp what's just happened to him, which is awesome. Just makes it so cool. He's such a high character guy. Like that alone is worth a higher draft pick in the NFL. Like, let's be real. This is a league that has a lot of off the field issues with a lot of players, and you got like a Saint and Troy Andersen. Like that's not ever going to be a question for him. That's worth something in the NFL for sure.
Yeah. And just because his dad wasn't there, standing up or something, giving him a hug, doesn't mean we didn't see that later.
For sure.
And just probably how proud would you be of your son to see that? I mean, that's just, I can't fathom, right? And being a dad, that would just blow me away. Wow. So super pumped for Troy. And my second question to you on Troy is two-part question, right? Is he the greatest Bobcat of all time? And do we retire number 15?
It's so hard for me to answer this question because I wasn't around when all those other legendary Bobcats played. He's definitely the greatest Bobcat of my lifetime. Like, I love Travis Lulay. I love Denarius McGee, but Troy Andersen, man, is the penultimate Bobcat in every possible way you can imagine. I really wish he would have won a national championship because that would have cemented it easily. But you got guys like Sonny Holland and Don Hass and all those older guys too that have their numbers retired. What did I put the poll out there? I'm gonna pull that up while you give your take on that real quick, so I can get the Twitter poll on that. But what do you think about that? Is he the best Bobcat of all time, and should Montana State retire his number?
Well, I would echo your sentiments on, like, we don't know. I never got to see Sonny Holland play or Don Haas or Iron Tumbleweed, but he is certainly the best Bobcat I've ever seen play. Man, I really love Travis Lulay, and I really love Denarius McGee and guys like Jody Owens, but Troy Andersen is just something different. He did so much in so many different ways. Gosh, if we could wax on about Troy being different positions and the way Choate used him in such weird ways. But yeah, I think he probably is the greatest Bobcat of all time. From sheer athletic prowess to his legendary status. If you get a chance to, I'm going to plug Coulter Nuanez. Coulter's article, his opus, as he calls it, to Troy Andersen, was one of the best things I've ever read from Coulter. And it really painted the legend that is Troy Andersen and kind of brought to light like why we consider him a legend and juxtapose him next to Paul Bunyan. And Jeff Choate called him the Paul Bunyan of Montana State. And so there's this narrative, this theme that flows through this opus, and it was really well crafted. I thought Coulter did a great job of doing it. And when you finish reading it, the sense I got was just something like, wow, I was lucky to have read it, lucky to have watched this young man play for Montana State, and kind of sad at the same time that era is over. And then another thought came to my mind is this the best it's ever going to get for Troy Andersen? Is his fame, is his legendary status as a Montana State Bobcat at its peak right now?
I mean, in some ways I could see yes, because obviously he's not gonna have that wild level of success in the NFL, at least initially. He's gonna have moments where the fans are on him. I mean, he's not gonna have that status anymore where he's pretty much untouchable and can do no wrong. But yeah, he's gonna end up being a household name. I'm pretty sure that he's gonna be making millions of dollars. So I think he'll be okay.
Somebody said he could be like the Cooper Cup of the defensive side of football.
I'm hoping so. I mean, that is a tall thing right there. But I think that certainly is in the cards for him. But the thing with Troy is, like, eventually he's just gonna. This is all just like gravy for him, because at the end of the day, he just wants to go back home and work on the family ranch. So no matter what happens with Troy, like his life, he's going to be okay. He's going to be happy, and he's just going to enjoy the ride while it's there. He's the kind of guy that's just going to soak it all in. If it doesn't work out, shucks, he's going to go back and herd some cattle.
You know what? I never got to answer this, but yes, I think we absolutely have to retire number 15. That number needs to go up.
85.5% of the 131 people who voted in the poll I put out on Twitter say yes, he should be retired. And I'm going to have to go in that camp. We talked about Lule, should he be retired? I remember Daenerys McGee.
I'm still mad that 14's not up there.
I mean, it takes a lot to get retired. That's a whole different thing. We don't have any sort of the circle of champions where they have jerseys up there, they're not retired type thing. Do we have 4 numbers retired? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's not much.
I mean, how many numbers can you retire before you run into problems? Like fielding
Yankees,
teams,
right?
That's when you have to have 4 guys wearing number 9. One on special teams, one on defense, and one on offense. And then the kicker, they just can't all be at the same time. I think you have to retire his number, just from the fact that he's a homegrown Montanan kid, the success he had, the do everything for the team attitude, the obviously putting MSU first. I'm sure he had offers to go somewhere else. I'm sure people talked to him. He stuck at MSU, made all the way to national championship game in his senior year, and he got drafted in the second round. I mean, what else do you have to do to get your number retired?
Exactly. That's the conversation I want to see. Is there's a meeting amongst the hierarchies of MSU athletics, and can you imagine them sitting around the table going, "Well, yeah, we're gonna go no on this.
He didn't win a national championship.
Troy Andersen did enough to earn this. We just, I don't know. Troy was awesome, but was he that awesome? Come on. If we're not doing 15, then what are we doing? What kind of conversations are we having?
I think the real answer is I don't think anybody would be upset if you retired his number.
No.
There might some people that say he's not fully deserving of it, but even those people I think would be they're not going to be upset that it happened.
No, he's so much more besides just a player. He was the clear leader that galvanized the team. And one thing he said in that came out, and one thing Lou's kid said too, and I thought this class specifically did it, but Troy said it first. I don't want to say it right now. Is he says, "Leave it better than you found it." That was a mantra that Jeff Choate would talk about, and he's like, that always stuck with me, and he did. And hats off to him on that.
Absolutely. Well, if they're not going to
Hey.
retire his number, they should put that statue up that the players were petitioning there. Remember, like the players like build a statue of Troy. At the very least, you got to get that
Do it
man a
now.
statue.
Hey, quick thought. Troy and Atlanta. What are you thinking?
I was doing a little bit of research on this. I think they're pretty good at linebacker. They got a linebacker, Deion Jones, that wasn't all pro, but had a really bad year last year. I think they're going to be looking to move him. He's their inside middle linebacker. So I think honestly, Troy is probably could be pegged as the heir apparent whenever they do decide to move Deion Jones.
No.
That's kind of what I'm hearing. I guess you listen to all the locked on stuff. You probably know more than I do.
No. Pump the brakes on the old football analysis. Just Troy in the city of Atlanta.
Oh,
what are you thinking?
I thought you meant like how's it going
I
to
don't
fit
care
in
about the football.
Yeah, okay.
No.
Honestly, I mean, I have no idea. No clue. I don't really know that much about Atlanta, man. I've never been there.
Yeah.
Kind of got like a rural
Me either.
side of it, right? I think like outside of the city limits, I think it's I think it's more urban areas than Atlanta, but I could be completely wrong on that. I've never been to Atlanta. It seems like it's a southern cowboy-ish area, so it might be all right. He should kind of play like Nashville or something, or Tennessee Titans. That'd be good.
Well,
Country.
now I'm going to have to buy a Troy Andersen jersey, a Falcons jersey. I'm not looking forward to that, but I'm
Number
going
44 is what I'm hearing. What I saw on their Twitter, which is kind of funny. That's Daniel Hardy's number.
Mini camps will be reporting. Rookie mini camps will be reporting later on this month, is what I'm hearing. So we will get some Troy Andersen news. Now I kind of have to semi be a Falcons follower. You kind of have to hit a little follow button on a couple of those guys just to keep like abreast on Troy news, right?
Yep. I'll be watching anytime I see a Falcons game able to be watched where I'm at. I'll be tuning in there, seeing if I see any Troy. That's just what it's going to be.
Right on. I can't wait to see him like pick someone off and just like put a knee to their head and like knock them cold as he gallops to the end zone.
I want to see one Troy touchdown. One touchdown Troy for the Falcons.
Yeah.
Maybe Michael
And
Petrie puts him in at running back on goal line packages. QB power.
Be interested, man. Yeah. Woo. Let's go, Troy.
Let's go, Troy. All right. Well, there it is. 20 straight minutes on Troy. So we're off to a good start on our short episode thing, and that's sarcasm. I don't think we'll talk about anybody near as much. Next guy on the list, though, which I'm pretty excited about, Daniel Hardy signed with my Rams, your Super Bowl champion Rams. Sorry, Foley. Had to say that there. Pull in there. Number 253, I believe, in the 7th round to the Rams. So I'm pretty excited about that. I was actually not expecting Daniel Hardy to get drafted. I thought he'd be a real quick free agent signing afterwards, and I think apparently so did the front office for the Rams, because I think that that was basically the decision they made was, hey, if we don't draft this guy, he's going to get snatched up real fast. He's not going to sign, so let's go ahead and draft him. And yeah, drafted in the 7th round, 253 by the Rams. I'm super stoked by that.
235.
235, sorry. Got my numbers mixed around, but yeah. That is super exciting, man. What do you think of that pick?
Oh, super excited for Troy. Daniel. I love Daniel Hardy, man. And then, if Jeff Choate was not, or if Jeff Choate stayed, Daniel Hardy doesn't get this, I don't think. For me, this all came to fruition for Daniel Hardy when we decided, Coach Vegan and Freddie Banks and staff decided to put him as a true defensive end, put his hand in the dirt, allow him to use his leverage, his bend to get to the quarterback, because he has such explosive speed, such great bend. He can get out underneath those tackles who have long arms who are reaching for him. It just showcased his talents, essentially, what I thought. This last year just allowed him to showcase his true talent as a football player.
That's a good point about Vegan moving him to that position. Another thing I want to say that may have helped him also was Brent Vegan's philosophy on putting starting players on special teams, because Daniel Hardy wreaked havoc on special teams this year. Like there's highlights reels of him. We said this on the podcast throughout the season.
Yeah.
Like Daniel Hardy was good for one bone crunching hit on special teams, like per game. He would just crush somebody. And I think that is going to be his, he's a day one special teams player for the Rams. I think he's going to make it on the special teams with his speed and his aggressiveness. I think he's going to be like, that's alone going to get him a roster spot and allow the rest of his game to develop. And potentially, like, he could be an edge rusher for the Rams. They lost, like Von Miller in the offseason. There's going to be some opportunities, I think, there. So I think, maybe not this year, but I think Hardy has a good chance of making the team and staying on the team for a couple of years.
Where'd Von Miller go? Bills?
Yeah, that does sound right. It's pretty funny. For as much of a football guy as I am, like NFL, even my favorite team, I don't really follow all that much.
Yeah.
Like not nearly as much as you would expect.
Phoenix Suns kind of guy.
It's all, I only have to memorize 8 players for the Suns. It works out much better. It's a lot easier. You're watching the game. It's pretty easy to see who's there and what they're doing on the court versus a football player. But yeah, I'm stoked that Hardy's a Ram. I was hoping that we'd get a Bobcat, and if it's not Troy, Hardy be my number 2 pick to be a Ram.
Yeah. Well, you're lucky, man. It's that maybe should be the jersey you get.
Yeah. I think he'll probably. I was looking at this. There's no numbered 44 on the Rams roster. There's a good chance that Hardy may end up being number 44 as well again. So it could be Troy 44, Hardy 44.
I thought the Los Angeles Rams did a really good job promoting the whole social media and interview process when he got picked up.
That was cool.
And tweeting that out. Yeah, they showed the interview with him and his family and his crew. And of course, Daniel Hardy, we know his skills behind the microphone. That guy's just a pleasure to watch. And then with Alex Eshelman from SWX Montana, it was just a really cool moment for Daniel. And then he just shown just his true, Daniel just gives a vibe out he is the most happy and genuine guy you'll meet. And he's just, he doesn't fake it. It's just who he is, and it's really cool to watch.
And he's doing it all for his late father and providing for the rest of his family. He's got such a cool story too. Him and Troy are both different stories, but similar high character guys. So that's really cool to see.
Yeah. All right.
Is that all you want to say about Daniel Hardy here?
No, I hope he makes the team. Round 7, sometimes it's not too different than an undrafted free agent. So, yeah, I hope he makes the squad. And that'd be cool. Because I think then we could start looking at matchups when the Falcons play the Rams and the Rams play the Falcons. And we're going to talk about the Saints here in a little bit. So there's going to be some crossover between Bobcats.
Well, you want to keep the Ram party train going here?
Let's do it, man.
Lance McCutcheon.
Woo!
He also signed. It was tweeted out today that he was signed by the Rams. The Rams announced their signings of the undrafted free agents, and he was on that list. So I wasn't sure if he was a camp invite or actually was going to sign a contract. It sounds like he's going to be signing a contract, which is really exciting for me. Also, as a Rams fan, to have 2 Bobcats on there, 2 of my favorite Bobcats on the team, in a position that the Rams were not particularly deep in. I think there could be some opportunity for him, depending what happens with Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, if you watch the playoffs and you saw Ben Skoranek come in as the 3rd wide receiver there because they were down that far in the depth chart, and he just doinked stuff off his hands all day long, there's some opportunity in that receiving room for the Rams. I mean, they had some injuries last year, and I don't know. I think he's got a decent chance of making the squad. It's kind of funny. There is a former Big Sky player in the wide receiver room on the practice squad for the Rams, JJ Koski. If you remember him, he's that big 6'8"
Poly
guy from Cal Poly. He's on the roster, but 6'1". Geez, who am I thinking of that was 6'8"? Oh, that's Ramses Barden. Man, I am really dating myself. Good grief. Probably no one even knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm excited for him, man. I think he has a decent shot at making the team. At least maybe making the practice squad. I was pleasantly surprised to see him sign a contract because I think if we go back to the episode where we're projecting stuff, I didn't think he was going to get a shot.
No, I thought his speed would be limiting, and it might still be. But,
I thought his hands would be the most
him.
limiting part for Lance McCutcheon. From, like I said, you start analyzing things from an NFL perspective. Like that's where you really put like a magnifying glass on it, and that's where I thought one of his weakest parts of his game was his hands. So, but I'm excited to see him get a shot.
All right, yeah, Thorny. I think Lance McCutcheon. I mean, he definitely has a shot of making the team, but those unsigned, undrafted free agents, you never know. Like, I mean, we're totally hoping and pulling for him, but I don't know, man. I think of all the Hard Knocks episodes I've watched in the past, 10 years, and you're just like, like you root for guys and then they get dropped, and so I don't know. So we'll see what happens with Lance. That'd be really cool though to see him lined up opposite of Cooper Kupp on the same field. That'd be quite the story.
That'd be pretty amazing.
Two Big Sky guys.
Two Big Sky conference wide receivers from two different teams.
Yeah. Another guy that benefited from Jeff Choate leaving, Lance McCutcheon. He actually got the ball thrown to him.
Fair enough. I think he would have filled the Kevin Cassidy type role anyway. Whatever balls were thrown, no matter who was quarterback, under no matter system, they're going to be throwing it to Lance McCutcheon. He was going to get 80% of the targets regardless.
God, man, we used to rail on the podcast about like, just throw it to Lance. Like he's like, we have this dude. Why are we not using him? Anyways, he got his shine. Good job, Lance.
I think Lance,
and it's really cool. Like honestly, can you imagine like Lance and Daniel just like rooming up together in LA, just like so giddy about this? Like, oh my gosh, we're here. Let's do this.
Yeah.
I'm so stoked for them. That's so cool. What a comfort to have both of those guys like hand in hand, on the same team, going through the same thing. That's really cool.
Pretty awesome.
Good for them. If we're going to talk in that thread, I'm going to talk, before we talk a Lewis Kid, I'm going to talk to Tre Webb. Tre Webb got undrafted free agent with the Falcons. And, Troy there as well. Tre Webb is some guy that I think we probably underappreciated all season last year. He had a phenomenal pro day. I wish I would have dug into him a little bit more because it sounded like in San Jose State, he was just the dude. But, man, he was such a steady presence in the backfield, a mature guy. And I just thought him and Jeffrey Manning worked really well together. And I wish we could have had him for a couple more years. What a good guy.
Man, Tre Webb was an awesome player. He was very physical at the point of attack. He was really good in run support. He was not afraid to get his helmet in there. He was a big physical kid too, as pro day numbers would tell you. He was a solid player. Like it's crazy. Like a guy like him would be a superstar on many of the other previous Bobcat defenses, and that's not saying that he wasn't. But you got guys like Troy Andersen and Ty Okada and Chase Benson and Daniel Hardy all on the team kind of overshadowing you. That's just how it kind of went. And that's actually what happened to kind of Daniel Hardy. And, he got kind of overshadowed. Like that season he had was ridiculous. 24 some odd tackles for loss, 16 and a half sacks. That's like an all-time great season, but it was like totally overshadowed by Troy Andersen. So at the same time, Troy Andersen brought that spotlight with him to the program, and Tre Webb and Daniel Hardy probably benefited from that. Like guys watching the film on Troy Andersen, like, well, who's this 44 kid down here? Who's this number 2 safety back here? Like that, and then so many scouts at the pro day, like that only helps guys like Tre Webb and Daniel Hardy.
Yeah, good point, man. Really good point. So he'll be going down to Atlanta with Troy. Lance and Daniel are headed to the West Coast. Lewis Kid signed with the Saints.
The man, the myth, the hair.
So he's going down to New Orleans, undrafted free agent. I caught his interview with Alex Eshelman. he's just so happy. I'm so stoked for Lewis Kid. He deserves it. He was a beast of a man, a great left tackle. I wonder if they project him as a left tackle. I have no clue how the Saints are looking on their O line. Like that's not something I'm, good on talking, but just really happy for him as a person because I got to talk to him. He was just he felt like a kind soul when you met him, and I think that came across when you watched the video with him and Alex.
For sure. Yeah, very happy for Kid. I think he was a guy that, sophomore and junior seasons watching him play, you thought, this guy's an NFL talent. And he might be one of the few guys who did not benefit from Jeff Choate's departure. I think he probably would have had a better senior season because it was rolling. The offensive line was rolling. And for whatever it was, this year they just kind of struggled putting it together. I don't know if they got moved around. Like we noted several times, especially in the beginning of the season, they just didn't look like the cohesive, strong unit that they had been in the past. So he may be one of the guys who didn't quite benefit from Choate leaving. In fact, he may have been hurt by that a little bit.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
But, he's still getting his chance, though. That's all you can ask for. If you're not going to get drafted, sign that contract, get that invite to the mini camp. And, I think all these guys want is a chance to prove themselves. And he's got that. And, he's got the body, he's got the size. I think he's got the footwork. I think he's got a lot of the intangibles that you'd want for offensive lineman in the NFL. So I'm hoping he can stick at least around the practice squad and make the team. Be awesome.
Interesting note, Rashid Shaheed, Weber State's jackknife of a player, speedster, wide receiver, punt returner. He signed undrafted free agent with the Saints as well. So him and Lewis Kid, both Big Sky guys, going down to New Orleans. That's really cool.
If Kid, Webb, and obviously Troy all make the rosters, active rosters, man, they're going to play each other twice a year. That'd be some good photo ops there. Some good Lewis Kid, Tre Webb, and Troy Andersen all hanging out after a game. That'd be pretty awesome. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but that would be really cool.
The kid said that would be a dream. Well, that would really be cool. So I think that kind of brings us to kind of the end of this talk. What does this mean for Montana State right now, Ryan?
I've thought a lot about this. I feel like the easy answer is it's obviously huge that the national media, people that don't pay attention to Montana State are watching film on Montana State. People are paying attention to it. But at the end of the day, we're still an FCS program. You think that's going to sway some kid in Texas to come play here because we got a guy drafted in the second round? Maybe, maybe not. I think it will be only a positive. I just don't know if it's going to be some sort of monumental shift in recruiting or anything like that. But yeah, it's still an overall awesome look for university, and people who never heard of Montana State, it put the name more on the map than it has been possibly ever. So pretty awesome, no matter how you slice it.
Do we have any other? We have Alex Singleton in the NFL right now. Anybody else
traded to the Broncos? And no, I think that's it from the previous class because Mike Person was the other one who retired. So I think it's just Alex Singleton left.
All right. Okay. Right on. Well, populating the NFL with some Bobcats. It'd be cool to see more legion of Bobcats going to the NFL. I say legions like they're all going, but that would be awesome. But
hey, sending five guys is borderline legion. Was the Legion of Boom for the Seahawks? Was 4 guys.
Yeah.
So
I don't think you're going to see a class like this.
No.
Maybe anytime soon. I don't know. I think we'll have years where we'll have maybe 1 guy, 2 guys, but to have 5 guys with this kind of quality, I don't know. I think this was a special class.
I think you're right. If you have 2 guys get undrafted free agent deals every year, you're doing really well at the FCS level.
Yeah.
If you get 1 guy drafted, you're doing fantastic. 2,
right.
But I just don't know. It's gonna be hard. I'm looking at it, looking at the roster. I'm like, how is this ever gonna happen again? It's crazy.
Well, vegans gonna have to recruit, man.
and develop.
But
That's what it is, development.
yeah, that's another conversation for another day because I do have thoughts on that and kind of juxtaposing vegans culture versus church culture. But maybe we'll talk about that later on in the summer.
Sounds good.
All right, man. Hey, you want to hit a couple golden coolie questions real quick?
Why not?
I think we can get.
We got through that relatively quick there once we got done with the Troy talk, basically. So we got a few minutes here.
All right. Rich K says, "Who's your favorite Bobcat to follow on social media?" I thought a lot about this today. I read this earlier. It's Willie Andersen. Holy cow. Willie Patterson is his name. I like watching Willie Patterson. And the reason why I think he's the best guy on social media, the best Bobcat to follow on social media, is because he's really Bobcat forward. It's not just like snapshot of his personal life and hanging out with friends. Like everything he's posting, at least on Instagram, that's what I follow him. It is like teammate stuff and Bobcat stuff. And I just appreciate that. He just seems like a solid guy. Like he's like bought it. Like he is like the face. He's one of the main faces of the Bobcats this year. And I think he does a good job of, shouldering that responsibility.
I think we talked about this the last episode. I don't follow any players on social media, so not applicable is my answer. I try not to follow any players. I don't know. It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I get it. But, I think with Instagram, you kind of have to because they are the content. So
fair enough.
Yeah. Anyways. Let's see. Helena Bobcat says, "Did Houston Texans show any interest in Troy Andersen? I wonder if Denarius McGee tried to put in a good word for him to the defensive coaches." I don't know, Helena Bobcat. You make a good point. I imagine Denarius McGee did have something to say about Troy Andersen. I couldn't tell you unless I was connected to the program. I'm not sure.
When did Gerald Alexander coach at MSU?
Coach's first year, so that would have been 2016.
And that Troy was 2017, right?
Yeah, 17, yeah.
It's hard to think if there's any other coaches running around the NFL who actually coached. Because I guess McGee would have been there, right, for a couple of years. Coaching.
Yeah, well, Petrie,
McGee's stint.
obviously.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying besides Petrie. I imagine McGee had to have put in some words for sure. He had to put in a good word. I don't know what the needs are. I mean, it's all based on needs and fit and all that stuff. But I guarantee McGee was talking to his coach, talking to his GM, like, "Hey, man, this kid up at Montana State is a real deal. Seen up close and personal."
Yeah, I miss listening to Denarius McGee. Is just the way he talks. I love it.
Yeah,
so fun.
He's gonna be a good coach.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Let's scroll down. Indy 0479. I thought we'd see more.
No, he's answering someone else's question.
Yeah.
The only other real question we have is, and this is I'll just read it. Cat Attack says, "Are we going to actively search out transfers for the offensive line and wide receiver? And are there any other position groups where we need transfer help?" Yes, and we are actually going to record a separate episode on this question, so we're not going to answer it here. It's a great question. We already kind of planned yesterday to let's do a couple episodes, maybe one for offense, one for defense. Maybe we'll just smash into one episode to be determined. But point is, we'll be recording an episode about this. So great question, and we'll get around to answering that at a later date.
All right. Given the fact that we only have two legit questions in from Helena Bobcat and Rich K, I'm going to send you both a golden coolie and a R&R sticker.
Two winners.
Yeah. We're going to Tuesday tonight. Woo!
Tuesday koozie. We can't say koozie.
Shh. It's kind of funny because I've been sending those little stickers inside the coolies, and then I kind of thought to myself, I was like, if they get jostled around, our listeners might not actually know that I'm sending them a sticker as well. So if you get a golden coolie from me in a envelope, make sure that you're looking inside for the sticker as well.
Oh no, someone recycled the sticker, threw it out. That'd be tragic.
Possible. They're kind of little, so they're good for your water bottle or your car top, your Thule rack or whatever you have. So anyways,
All right.
But the golden coolies, man, they are so nice. Like this is Thorny, you just got to send me your address. I'll send you one or two. But I've been rocking this for like the last 2 weeks. It's just getting better. It's like getting broken in like a good baseball glove.
There we go.
It's awesome. So
there we go. Getting softer, and now it's permanently molded like your seat cushion that's molded to your butt. It's getting molded to the beer cans.
Not quite, but yeah. Right. All right, let's get out of here.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening to kind of our rambling episode about the players being drafted. And no idea if this is a good episode or not, but one that we wanted to put out, one we needed to put out. So there it is. Follow us on Twitter, RRCatcast. You can always reach us on the web, rrcatcast.com. Shoot us an email, rrcatcast@gmail.com. And Foley, let's just get out of here, man. Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.